Hey guys, it's the Prez, Lawrence Presman. You're watching the College Football Betting Show. We're excited to bring it to you. You can find us every week at WagerTalk TV, our YouTube channel. Second last show of the year. My pleasure to be doing this with Teddy Covers and Dave Cokin. We're going to take apart every single college football game for this coming weekend. Championship weekend in college football. I'm excited to have my boys with us. Let's get to it. Dave Cokin, first I want to start with a congratulations to you. Not only did you win your 5% play last week, it was on a primetime game.
Yeah, it was. LSU was a really easy take last week. I wish they were all that easy to make decisions on. It was, that game had everything going for it. They needed the game, obviously. There was a tremendous revenge motive from the prior season. And, they got a slap in the face from the committee by getting bumped from number 1 to number 2. So they took it out on the Aggies. Good regular season. On to the Bulls. I won't have a lot this week. I want to mention that. I might only have 1 or 2 plays this week. But lots of bowl plays will be coming in. We'll tell you about the bowl package at some point.
Yeah, I've got, I'm going to be doing... bowl deal for you and Teddy. We'll have that ready for next week's show. We'll tape next Tuesday. It'll be the entire bowl season from start to finish, so it'll be a long show. And then that's it for me. Wednesday I leave for Zermatt. Zermatt. It's Switzerland.
Okay.
I have a lot of business meetings in Switzerland, Dave.
Cool.
Teddy, you
bring
want
back some cheese? Bring back some cheese.
Teddy, you want to add? We're not chocolate. Teddy, you want to add to my business meetings? You've got that look of disgust on your face.
Not disgust. I'll just take the under on the number of business meetings that you have scheduled for your trip to. Where are you going? Switzerland?
Yeah. So I'll put it at 1. Will you still take the under?
Give me 1.5, and I'll take the under.
I think you're likely good at taking the under half.
You know how to yodel?
Yole, yole, hee-hoo. Boys,
don't do that.
Let's just give out a quick...
Listen.
Sorry, Dave?
Don't do that when you get there.
Yeah, I don't know how many people in Switzerland yodel, but anyway, whatever. Teddy, how are you, brother?
I'm doing okay today. How about yourself, Lawrence?
Yeah, dude, I'm doing good. I got a ton of shows to do today. I just did Puck Time with Carmine and Andrew. Dave will be on Puck Time on Thursday. I've got this show right after this is The Betting Edge with Drew and Rob Vino. And then tonight at 11 p.m. Eastern, I will be taping the NFL presidential address. And talking about the NFL, quick promotion, and then we'll get to it. 10 games today. We're going to take them all apart. I won my 5% play on Houston going away this past Sunday night in the NFL. I've got another 5% NFL play up for this Sunday. You guys can have it for half price. Regularly $40. It's yours for $20. Please use the promo code PrezNFL20. That's PrezNFL20. We do have another promo coming up a little bit later. Teddy, I'm going to go to you first, brother. Oregon, Utah. Look, I don't know if Utah annihilates this team and gets into the top 4. The whole thing's so stupid. But here they sit at -6.5 with a total of 46.
So stupid.
The way they come up with these 4 teams is stupid. Dave, there is not a league on this planet where they vote. Imagine like in tennis, they get together, they're like, we vote, we're going to have a Wimbledon for no reason. And then at the end of the Wimbledon, we'll just vote 4 guys into the semifinals.
So how else are you supposed to decide which 4 teams play?
You don't have 4 teams, Dave. Firstly, if you don't win your championship, Dave, Dave, you asked me a question. Dave, you asked me a question. I will answer it. You don't make the playoffs if you don't win your conference. If you don't have a conference championship game, well, that's on your idiot conference. Take all the conference winners, stick them in a playoffs. There are people out there trying to solve...
Wait a minute. Okay. Take all the conference winners. So you want the Sun Belt Conference represented. You want Conference USA represented. I mean, come on, who would give a shit about those games?
Really, Dave? It's called
Really.
Then they lose. But I mean, you can't just
they lose?
randomly pick 4 teams. Who the hell did Clemson play this year? Name the amazing teams Clemson played, and they're going to the college.
So let me ask you something. The NCAA tournament, okay, there you've got automatic bids. But there's also a lot of voting that goes on.
Okay, I get that, Dave. It's at least 64 bloody teams.
You can't do that in football.
Yeah. We need to go through...
I understand what you're saying, but it's just... This is what it is, and it's the best they can do.
It is not the best they can do, Dave.
Hold on, let me finish. In the current format, which is 4 teams, this is the best they can do. If you expand to 8 teams, it's still going to be the same thing. The only way that you're going to have it the way you want it is to make it a 16 or even forget 16, a 32-team tournament.
You're wrong.
And that's not going to happen.
You're wrong, Dave.
It's never going to happen.
Dave, firstly, turn your volume up on your mic if there is volume. Secondly, you are wrong. If you go to 16 teams, we know the 17th team does not have a shot at winning the championship game. But we don't know that Utah doesn't have a shot. We don't know that Oklahoma doesn't have it. There are Team 5 and Team 6 that could on any given day beat.
I'll grant you that. But you're still, you just said, well, you can't have this with the voting. Well, you're still going to have voting with 8 teams.
Okay,
so
fine.
The voting isn't. The
voting isn't the issue. The issue is it's 4 damn teams.
You said voting was the issue.
4 teams is the issue.
Now you're saying voting isn't the issue. What are you, running for office or something? Don't do these flip-flops on me. I'm not saying this is a great format, but this is what it is. And I don't know, stupid wasn't the word that I just don't buy that word. They're starting off with a 4-team format. They will eventually get to 8 teams, but it's just going to be a process.
Okay, you done now?
Yes.
Okay. Teddy, Utah minus 6.5 against Oregon, over and under 46.5. What do you like in this game?
Hi, Lawrence. Hi, Dave. Thanks for welcoming me into the show.
Thank you.
Shut up and get
enjoyable
going.
College football playoff discussion. Our job is not to fix college football. Our job is to handicap the games that are in front of us. And the first game that we have to handicap in front of us is Utah and Oregon.
You're so condescending.
That makes 2 of us.
Completely right.
I know, but it's the way he speaks, man. Anyway, sorry to interrupt, Teddy.
No, please interrupt away.
Please, I want the show over and done with. Go.
Well, that explains the 15-minute intro before we get into the first game. Utah and Oregon. Utah's a huge betting bandwagon right now. You know, they covered every point spread since September. Literally. Last time they didn't cover was a loss at USC. And when you have that many consecutive wins and covers in a row, your betting bandwagon is enormous, which the Utes betting bandwagon is pretty big right now. And this line is a notch or 2 higher than I was hoping it was going to be, because I wouldn't have argued with the play on Utah at minus 3.5 or minus 4. We're talking about laying almost a touchdown with the Utes against a very capable Oregon team. Again, Oregon hasn't lost a game by this margin all year. So from a side standpoint, this isn't an easy one for me. I do not look at the Ducks as a team likely to get wiped. That said, it's worth a whole lot of money to the Pac-12, potentially, if Utah wins this ball game. So that's something we have to factor in a conference championship game. The biggest move on this game has been the total. The total has been pounded under. There's bad weather expected in Northern California on Friday night. Both of these 2 teams have elite-level defenses. I can understand why there's been a lot of under money in this ballgame. Unfortunately, with the current total at 46.5, if you missed it early in the week, it's probably too late to hop on that under right about now.
Yeah, there's a 45.5 already on the board at bookmaker.com. Dave, what do you like in this game, brother?
So you've got one team that's trying to get in the playoffs and the other that is stuck in the spoiler role. Well, that's obviously a motivational plus for Utah. This game really doesn't mean a whole heck of a lot to Oregon. I mean, they'll try and sell themselves on the idea that it does, but it doesn't. They can't make the playoffs. Utah can. So I can't disagree with the line being inflated because of that. If you're looking at straight power ratings, I've got the game about 4.5 with Utah favored. So there's no value in the Utah side based on the power ratings. But I do think that the extra points are justified because it's just a much bigger game to Utah. I can't go against them in this spot. It's Utah or pass for me. Give me the team that has something to play for as opposed to the team that doesn't.
Let me ask Dave a quick question because I couldn't disagree more with your assessment about Oregon. And about any team in a conference title game, when you're playing for a conference title, okay, Oregon's playing for a Pac-12 championship, you really think that's not a motivating factor for them?
No.
This is bigger than their bowl game. This is their chance to show up and win a conference title.
I'll give you that it's bigger than the
I can't
bowl
think of one team of the 20 we're going to talk about that's not just motivated, supremely motivated for this ballgame. I don't see any motivational edges in any game. I'm surprised you see one here. Explain.
Okay, well, a couple of things. I think, if I'm not mistaken, if Utah wins this game, Oregon goes to the Rose Bowl, right? So the bowl game would still be big. Oregon looked to me like a really disappointed team last week, to be quite frankly. They stunk against Oregon State, which isn't much of a team. They managed to win the game, but they looked very flat. And to me, that's a result of the Arizona State game. That ended their regular season. I think the challenge for them is if they get to the bowl game, if they are indeed in the Rose Bowl, which again, I'm not, to be honest, I'm not really sure. But that to me would be bigger. I'm not saying that they don't want to win. I'm sure they want to win, but I think Utah probably wants to win more. That's just my opinion.
Okay, boys, we got to get to the next game.
All right. Okay.
Miami,
there's
Ohio.
going to be some of these. I thought it was a good discussion. There's going to be some of these where we're going to have very little. So,
No problem, Dave. No problem at all. Miami, Ohio, plus 6.5, playing Central Michigan, a total of 54. Dave, I'll go to you first this time. What do you like?
Central Michigan's just rolling. Said several weeks ago that they were the most improved team in the MAC. I don't think I said it here because we don't talk MAC games as a rule, but they're flying. Miami is not. Boy, Miami was not good in their last two games. In just the conference-only games, I have Central Michigan 11.5 points better than Miami. So I guess that tells you where I am on this game. It's going to be CMU or pass. Again, it's a game where you're paying a premium based on recent play, but recent play is important. Central Michigan's playing a lot better than Miami right now.
Teddy?
Last talk about Oregon, or the Oregon-Utah game is I think Oregon was flat because they just lost to Arizona State.
Yes, they were.
And then the next game, you got to play Oregon State, your 20-point favorites. That wasn't Oregon's week. This is Oregon's week. The more I'm talking about this game, I think I might be talking myself on the Oregon side.
We'll talk about Oregon and
Central Michigan it's Central Michigan or pass. I'm with Dave 100%. The Chippewas have been a consistent moneymaker for my clients and I for extended stretches this season. When you talk about things that matter in a conference like the MAC, when you have an elite level defensive line in the MAC, it makes a big difference. Central has that. And that has given everybody fits, and that's why they're blowing teams out, because nobody's really moving the ball against that Chippewa defense. I don't think Miami necessarily has the offense to do that either. Central Michigan, likely to be in my card.
Appalachian State, -6 to 6.5, 56 on the board, playing UL Lafayette. Teddy, I'll go to you first. What do you like in this game?
Yeah, so this is one, Dave was like, some of these games we're not going to have a whole lot on. This is one of those games for me. They played earlier in the season, defensive battle, 17-7. We saw them play for the conference title last year. And again, a relatively competitive game, but the Mountaineers were the right side of that one. I'm expecting a defensive scrum in this ball game. Slightest of leans to the under from a side perspective. I don't have a whole lot. Maybe Dave does. Not one I'm likely to play.
Dave, thoughts?
Not a lot. Lean to the dog. It was a close game in the regular. They mentioned low scoring. That makes sense that it's going to be that again. And in those types of games, getting around a touchdown is not the worst idea in the world.
He's Dave. For you? Yeah, he's Dave Cokin. Teddy covers with us. Both can be found at WagerTalk.com. Remember, guys, use my promo code PrezNFL20 for my 5% play. We're going to have a scroll change and then talk Baylor. Baylor playing Oklahoma. Oklahoma minus 8.5, minus 9 in a lot of books with a total of 62.5. You know, interesting game, tale of two halves. Last time they played against each other. Teddy, where are you going in this one?
So the second half matters more than the first half. Since that second half against Baylor, the Oklahoma defense has been playing really at a different level than they were playing for most of the season. You know, they had the bad game against Kansas State and the bad game against Iowa State and the bad first half against Baylor. The last 10 quarters, this defense has made legitimate improvements. And maybe it's right teams, right times, but I'm looking at a team that has basically no betting bandwagon. You know, they've been money losers throughout Big 12 play. I think there might be a buy sign on the Sooners right here. And again, for the conference, what's it worth? Just like for the Pac-12, they have their best case scenario. Utah will win, and that will get in the playoffs, and that makes the conference a whole lot of money. Here, Oklahoma is the moneymaker. Baylor's not getting into any playoffs, and the Sooners have managed to sneak into the Final Four each of the last 2 years with wins and covers in the Big 12 title game. I don't want the dog in this one. I think that what we saw in the first half against Oklahoma in the first meeting is not what we've seen since. And the fact that the Sooners were able to dominate that second half in the way that they did, win the game in the way that they did. Baylor's had a nice season. I think this is where they get outclassed.
Dave, you with Teddy on this?
No, I kind of like Baylor in the game. It's strictly on my numbers. I think the line's too high. And the numbers have been good for me all season. I don't disagree with Teddy's assessment of Oklahoma. They are playing better football, but Baylor's really shown me something. Getting off the canvas after that bad loss. I mean, it was a really bad loss to Oklahoma in the way that it happened. And they come back and beat Texas the next week and just absolutely destroyed Kansas last week. Rule's an excellent coach. And I still think he's selling his team in the no respect angle. I think this is going to be a close football game.
UAB, Florida Atlantic. You know, I mean, it's amazing how many 6.5s and 7s are on the board for this weekend. Florida Atlantic minus 7.5, a total of 50. And Dave, I'll go to you first. Where are you going in this one?
I've got to wait and see what the situation with Kiffin is. There's rumors he might be taking another job. I don't know if anything's changed this morning. That could be a distraction, even if he's not taking another job this week. And UAB's the better coach team here. I think Florida Atlantic's the better team, but UAB is good enough defensively to hang here. So lean to the Blazers, although right now it's nowhere near my ticket.
Teddy, you like the Blazers?
I don't. And there's one simple reason why. These are UAB's wins. Okay. Alabama State, Akron, South Alabama, Rice, Texas San Antonio, Old Dominion, UTEP, Louisiana Tech without their quarterback and receiver at the tail end of the season when La Tech wasn't the same team, and North Texas.
So slightly better than Clemson's wins, is what you're saying.
No. much, much weaker than Clemson's wins.
That was a joke, Teddy.
I'm well aware that
But
was
we're
a joke.
going to get there.
Sure. I don't trust UAB to step up in class. I don't trust them to trade points. And given their quarterback situation, which is very dicey, if FAU can potentially do what they want in this game. UAB's got the defense. UAB is a running game. They have a lot of things that we like in dogs. The more I think about it, the less I want the dog in this one.
Speaking of dogs, what kind of you don't have a dog, Teddy, nor you, Dave, right?
No, we got a dog.
Oh, yeah, you
Teddy
do
has
have a dog. You're a bulldog, right, Teddy?
No, he's a schnoodle.
Didn't you have a bulldog?
No.
But you did have a dog. What, Dave?
You had an enormous cat. Well, that cat's not around anymore.
Oh,
No,
God, I
she's
hate
bad.
cats. A schnoodle. I love it. Any word with oodle at the end works for me. Cincinnati playing Memphis. Memphis minus 9.5, a total of 57.5 on the board. Dave, I'll go to you first. Regale us, my friend.
Pretty good game last week between these two. The score was a little misleading. It was closer than that. I think you get more of the same here, but you're not getting enough value with Cincinnati because the line is considerably less than it was last week. And I would want more with Cincinnati here to take the game. I don't think I want Memphis. Long story short, this is almost certainly a pass for me.
Theodore?
Well, you're worried about Kiff. I mean, Norvell's gone from Memphis. He's taking another job.
Yeah.
And that's already a team that I don't want to be laying points with. And the reason the line's lower this week, I think, is twofold. One, the market's viewed last week as a throwaway game for the Bearcats. And two is that the markets recognize that Cincy, even in a throwaway game, was capable of hanging tough with the Tigers. I have a lot of respect for Luke Fickell. And Cincinnati's statistical profile isn't impressive and hasn't been impressive, and that's why you're seeing point spreads like this. But the lean here is towards the defensive-minded dog against a favorite who will be undergoing a coaching change sooner rather than later.
I'm literally listening to you and just thinking about words that go before oodle, and I'm like, if Frickle had an oodle, he'd be a fruital. Anyway.
No, he wouldn't because there's no R in his name. It's Fickle.
Fickle.
Okay, so he'd be a foodle. Everybody loved Army last week. We listened to you guys regale us about your thoughts on Army. I lost my house. I'm now living in a camper.
That's always appreciated. And now I am going to be serious. And this isn't bullshit. You're doing what trolls do on Twitter now.
No.
Yes, you are.
You didn't let me finish my thought, Dave.
No, I'm not gonna let you finish it because you did. I hate that shit when somebody says, "Well, you guys like this game and it went up and I lost this, that, and the other thing." It's one friggin' game. I mean that drives me absolutely freaking wild. Okay, and of all people, you should. It's not even in a joking fashion. Should you go that route? Okay, that to me, and I usually have fun and ball bust. This is not ball busting. This is dead serious. Don't pull that shit. Okay? That is absolutely irresponsible on your part. And if Teddy wants to weigh in on the topic,
clearly you don't want me to weigh in on the topic because you didn't let me finish my damn thought.
Not that way. You can say it's a loser, but don't start in with this. Oh, and I lost my house.
Well, because I was the one that said bet that. Dave, do you feel better now?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't.
Teddy, do you want to add to Dave's rant?
No.
Okay. Hawaii plus 14 against Boise State. Teddy, what do you like? We'll let Dave calm down.
I thought you were going to finish. I was waiting for you to finish.
Dave doesn't want to hear me finish.
It's all right.
I'm okay with it. Dave got it out of his system.
I'm not. It's actually a serious topic to me.
Dude, I don't disagree, but you didn't let me finish my thought. And my thought was actually literally on your side of the fence. I was just setting it up. Anyway, we get it.
What do you mean on my side of the fence?
Well, I was going to...
Army wasn't the right side in the game.
Dave, you didn't let me...
I don't know what...
Dave, you didn't let me finish my thought, and I was going to point out that it was one game that people get all excited, everybody gets overhyped, they shouldn't be betting more on one game than any other. There's never a sure thing in sports betting unless you take Houston over the New England Patriots at home on a Sunday night. So, yeah. Teddy, what do you like in this Hawaii game?
I'm not going to play it. I really don't know what to do with this game. I'm impressed with Hawaii's defense. Okay, Hawaii's defense and other defense has gotten a lot better as the season has progressed, and even the win against Army last week. They were able to get stops at times in that ball game. They couldn't get stops in the first week against Boise. Boise really moved the football at will against them, and of course, Boise has QB issues again this week. Although, I mean, the difference between Bachmeier and Cord, the markets are saying it might be a point or two. It's not a huge drop-off for Boise with their backup QB. And that's certainly a well-balanced offense. And it's not like Hawaii's been stuffing the run all year long. So I think Boise's going to get theirs. There could well be weather in Boise. Hawaii's not a team built for cold weather conditions by any stretch of the imagination. But Hawaii's also been pretty darn good at winning games and covering point spreads and on the highway. It's not just been on the island. They've been a good dog, and the back door's open with the Warriors. So it's really not a game that I'm expecting to get involved with.
Dave?
So I was hoping that the weather would be worse than the forecast is for. I guess it's like mid-40s. That's not too bad. This could have been one of those situations where it's snowing and mindful of what was the title game a couple of years ago? Boise and Fresno, which was horrible weather. And by the way, Fresno performed very well in that game. But so Hawaii is not going to be hindered by what would appear to be bad weather.
Well, it's supposed to rain, Dave.
Yeah, but rain is, rain
and temps in the low 40s is not a nice day.
It's not nice, but it's not awful. What you could run into in Boise in December can be a lot worse than that.
Sure.
I mean, it can be 20s and snow, and that would really be bad for Hawaii. I don't think this is. Hawaii plays in rain on a frequent basis, actually. I think it rained again last week in the Army game, in fact, for a little while. So and rain doesn't bother me with passing teams. Wind does. Now, Hawaii's actually a pretty good football team. And going back to the Army game, they were the right side in the game. It's kind of a miracle that Army got into it in the fourth quarter because they couldn't have gotten run out in the game. I was on the wrong side of the game. This game, my numbers indicate Hawaii has some value. Not as much as they had, though, because the line has come down in this game. I think they put the number up too high in this game. It's settling in now where it probably should be, and that's probably going to keep me away from the game.
Boys, 3 games left. A real quick promo code, Tony Month. That's the promo code, Tony Month. Get $100 off of a month of all of Tony's bets. He went 2-0 on Monday, and he is on a 72-39 all sports run. 72-39 all sports run, 68% in NFL, up in every single sport he's betting. Use the promo code Tony Month, and also make sure to check back next Tuesday for the college football bowl games, in which I will have a promotion for the legend himself, Dave Cokin, as well. Teddy covers an up-and-coming legend, Teddy, even though you're completely gray.
Dave Cokin is the legend. I'm just a guy.
Georgia LSU. This is going to be a great game. Georgia loses, they are likely out. Would you agree, Dave?
Not likely. They have Zero.
Yeah, I know. They
of
should
getting
put
into the playoff if
they
they
should
lose.
put Clemson in their puff cake schedule in instead. Georgia +7, 54.5. LSU is so good. I think this game is going to be awesome. Teddy, what do you like?
So if the game's going to be awesome, that means you think that Georgia can hang around.
I do. I listen. I think they can hang around at least for a fair chunk of the game. Let's go with that.
So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this game. Part of me thinks that LSU is just too potent offensively. Yeah. Part of me thinks, and again, Georgia hasn't faced an offense of this kind. Who's the best offense that Georgia faced all year? Notre Dame?
Certainly a better offense than Clemson faced. Anyway, go on.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I got all distracted.
Yeah, I know. And the funniest thing is Clemson's my favorite team because I love their colors. Go on, Teddy. I'm on an anti-college football playoff rant all day. Best proven by Clemson.
Yeah, it makes for a great show. I'm sure our viewers appreciate when you.
Hey, dude, I'm doing very little talking here. I don't need this shit. What do you like in this game?
I don't know. Pass.
Okay, pass. Dave.
Okay, so
Dave, you can take your shots at me, Dave.
No, I'll talk about the game. Georgia is my number one defense, and LSU is my number one offense. So it is a perfect matchup, perfect storm, if you will. And let's see who comes out on top. It is really scary to try and step in front of LSU because that offense is just an absolute monster, and it has been all season. But if there's a team that can slow them down, it's Georgia. Now, the flip side of that is, does the Georgia offense have enough to stay in the game? Because it's not like Georgia's going to shut LSU out. And Fromm continues to be erratic. Even last week against Georgia Tech, I mean, he goes 14 for 29, and that's against a bad football team. He's just not having a great season. Let's just say the guy who was backing him up at Georgia is having a much better season than he is. My numbers in the game do indicate it's a little bit closer than 7. I have LSU winning, but I don't have them winning by 7. And one thing I will say is that over the years, I've come to trust my numbers when they point to the defensive dog. They don't look good on paper a lot of times because they're not as explosive and as scary in terms of what they can do. But they frequently get there, particularly teams that are dominant run defenses. Now, I know that doesn't really factor in as big here because LSU is going to throw the ball all over the place, but I'm probably going to end up taking a piece of Georgia here. It's not going to be a big play for me, but I've learned to back these over the years, and I've won more of them than I've lost, so it'll probably be a small play on Georgia. I'll wait, though. I want to get as much as I can because I'm probably going to need every one of those points.
See, Teddy, this is an outstanding show. Dave is giving us great information. We've got some bets on games, I'm pretty pleased with how this show is shaping up. Wisconsin +16 going into Ohio. The Buckeyes are just so good right now.
Not going into Ohio.
Yeah, I know. I knew that while I was saying it. 56.5 is the total. What do you like, Teddy?
So, over the last 15 years, Ohio State and Wisconsin have played 11 times. The Buckeyes are 10-1 straight up, 9-2 ATS in those meetings. What's different this year? Nothing is different this year. Wisconsin is what they are, okay? They have a good running game. They have a strong offensive line. They have a mediocre quarterback. They don't have much of when they fall behind, they're in trouble. The defense is solid, very good defense. But this is the moral equivalent of literally every good Wisconsin team that we've seen over the last decade and a half. And Ohio State's killed them every time. What's different with this year's Ohio State team? The only thing that's different is they might be better. Okay. Talk about teams I'm not going to step in front of. The Buckeyes at or near the top of that list. I do not trust Wisconsin to do any better in the second meeting than they did in the first meeting between these two teams. I am a Buckeye believer. I think Ohio State is clearly the number one team in the country, and I will not be standing in front of them in any game, let alone this one.
Dave?
Well, you got to be able to run the ball, I think, to have a real good chance against Ohio State. Forget about winning in terms of staying competitive. And despite the fact that they've got a great running back, Wisconsin, they just don't. I don't think they can run the ball on Ohio State. The Buckeyes' rush defense, that hasn't been talked about that much. Ohio State's running defense is just awesome. It's really, it's one of the best in the country. So Cohn's going to have a game kind of like he had against Minnesota. And he was absolutely fabulous last week. That was a brilliant game plan that Wisconsin had, and it was executed flawlessly by Cohn. I think that was the best game he's ever played. It's just not going to happen here. Maybe they can hang around for a little while like they did in the first game, but I think it's eventually going to be what happened in the first game, which is probably a Buckeye runaway in the second half.
Yeah, and betting the Buckeyes in the second half, something I've been doing. Dave Cokin with us. Teddy covers WagerTalk.com. You're watching the College Football Betting Show. A quick reminder, we've got one last one left. Next Tuesday, we'll go through all the college football bowl games in one show. Boys, let's get to the final game on the board. The biggest spread out there. Clemson minus 29 against Virginia at 54.5 is the total. I will end the show the same way as I started it, but I'll do it after you guys take apart this game. Teddy?
There's no way I can get involved in it. I'm not interested in side. I'm not interested in total. I'm not going to step in front of Clemson, a team that I believe is every bit as good as Ohio State, despite their schedule that you don't like, Lawrence. You can only play the teams that are on your schedule.
Really? Who set up that schedule, Teddy?
Or not talented.
Right. The College Football Committee gave them that schedule. That only works in other sports, Teddy, but when you're the freaking team that sets up your poof cake schedule, it doesn't work. But anyway, please focus on this game. We can have
I was focused on the game for the second time in a row. You interrupted me. My thoughts aren't important.
Oh, shut up, Teddy.
Dude, it's like you need Dave and I to yell at you hard. I really tried not. I've been calm the whole podcast.
Teddy, what do you like in this game?
Right now, I'm not going to play the game.
Dave?
Well, Virginia got the game they wanted last week, and I'm glad they did because I had them. They really wanted to beat Virginia Tech after 15 straight losses to the team. I guess it's a free ride for Virginia. What happens, but I think they know they don't have much of a chance here. And they actually could be the flatter team because they already accomplished their objective, which was to win the Coastal and to beat Virginia Tech. That's not exactly the situation you want when you're clearly the second best team on the field. For Clemson, though, it really doesn't matter what Clemson does. They're not going to ascend to number one unless Ohio State loses and LSU loses. So, I don't know that there's any particular incentive other than to just go in, take care of business, and get out. Now, they might win by 5 touchdowns because the game's a mismatch. But they might also win by 3 touchdowns and be perfectly content with that. So in other words, it's a game that I really don't recommend playing it. I'm certainly not going to. Clemson can name the score, but the line is so high. To me, it's just not worth taking a gamble on.
Okay, well that's it, boys. I won't even give you my thoughts on the college football playoffs and how Clemson is ranked because, well, nobody cares, right, Teddy?
Sure.
Teddy's in a bad mood.
Where should they be ranked? Dave,
that's the point, dude. I don't know where they should be ranked. I don't have a clue. I can't sit here and rank these teams.
Well, I do because I do rank the teams and my power ratings are really fucking good. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, and they belong in the playoffs. They're one of the
Yes.
4 best teams in the country.
I assume they are one of the 4 best teams in the country. They're Clemson.
You know, you don't have to assume it.
And,
They are.
and Dabo is amazing.
And
they're-
you can't blame Dabo for the fact that the ACC had a down year. You can't do it.
I'm not.
You did. You said, look at their schedule. Who set that up? The conference committee?
Teddy. It shows the problem with the college football playoffs. I'm not suggesting Clemson should not be in the college football playoffs. They're undefeated. They've walloped every damn team they've played. I mean, there's teams, 3 points South Carolina scored, 3 points Wake Forest scored. This team is incredible on defense. It's incredible on offense. I get it. They're also my favorite team. I cheer for Clemson. I get it. I'm just saying there's something wrong with the way this is all set up. That's all, dude. Oklahoma and Utah are going to not make the playoffs potentially, and they played actual football teams anyway.
Well, I mean, Clemson, a non-conference, Clemson scheduled not 1, 2 SEC teams non-conference, okay? So you can't blame Clemson for their schedule. Okay, not 1. They didn't schedule 1. They scheduled 2.
I'm not blaming anybody for their schedule. I'm saying there is something wrong with the way the fact that there is only 4 teams.
Lawrence.
You know, all right. So you know what? There's something wrong with the NFL because the Patriots get to play 3 garbage teams every year, twice. Well, Buffalo's good this season, but they get to play in the AFC East 6 games a year against the AFC East. So you know what? The Patriots have an easier road to the playoffs on an annual basis than everybody else. So I guess the NFL playoff system is screwed up.
Jesus, man, you guys are mad.
Well, no, I'm not mad, but you're being completely illogical. Okay,
and
you are.
More than being illogical, this is the ultimate of beating a dead horse. This has been talked about.
Okay, let's call it a show then.
Mainstream show for the last 20 years. We all know the system is flawed. Our job is to pick winners.
And that's what you guys did.
So
can we end the show? Okay.
Sure.
Dave, I'll see you on Thursday.
You promise not to do this next week.
What, Dave?
Let's not do this next week when we talk about the Bulls. Let's just talk about the game.
Fine, done.
Not what's wrong with college
Dave,
football,
are you winning in hockey?
I'm doing all right, except in overtime. I won last night.
Nice. We'll see you on Thursday for puck time. Teddy, I love you and your miserableness. It is always a pleasure. We're done.